Okay, so this week's update is there's actually quite a lot that's been going on, and I'm stood in front of the apple trees because that's one of the things I've been doing this week. So let's have a spin round. So yeah, I've basically thinned out the apples so that in each kind of clump, there can be, sometimes I've found 4 different apples from one clump. That's probably not the technical term. And from what I've read, there should just be one. So then the tree has more chance of sending all of its good nutrients and energy and all its growing power to that one apple. And I was a bit worried at first that wouldn't leave me with very many, but you can still see an abundance throughout the whole tree. So I've thinned out those apples, and then also to avoid disease and pests, you can see the ground is looking pretty good, and there were quite a few fallen apples. So I've cleared those away, and then also as I was going through and thinning the apples on the tree, I've taken away any that looked damaged or might have a bit of disease or had been eaten by a few pests. So that was quite a long job just from one tree. It took me about 2 hours. It's something I should have done earlier, because here is where a branch has actually snapped under the weight of the apples, and it's made me realise why when you prune an apple tree you really do have to be quite aggressive if needed, because these hadn't been looked after for a few years, and I was worried about cutting too much off, but I can really see now that their trees are full of leaves and fruit that you really do need to have it quite sparse in winter, so that there's a lot of room for light and air to get into the tree. So that's the first thing I've been working on this last week. Let's have a wander over into the main plot. So on my back you can see I've got the sprayer. Now I'm not spraying any nasty chemicals. I'm doing everything biodynamic. But what I'm doing today is spraying horn silica, which is made using quartz crystal, for various different reasons. But ultimately, it helps to keep pests and disease away. It helps the plants to get the most from sunlight. It helps to ripen fruit, helps fruit to store longer, helps the nutritional value of fruit. So it's one of the 2 main biodynamic preparations that really sets biodynamics apart from organic, although there's lots and lots of other things that does that as well. So that's what I'm spraying that on today. So I'm going to be spraying it just here. Spring onions. I've got onions over there. Tomatoes, quite a few different areas of my wild plot, but is method to my madness with all the green manure growing and bees buzzing around, which is looking really good actually. So that's the next job I'm going to be doing, is spraying the horn silica, and that's always done with an ascending moon, because of the moon's gravitational pull is kind of bringing everything upwards. It's done in the morning because that's when kind of plants wake up, I suppose. So everything's becoming more open. So that's why I'm doing it. It's about 9 o'clock in the morning. I would have done it earlier, but you need to dynamize. You need to stir the horn silica in water for about an hour. So that's what I've been doing. So and having a wander down the plot, one of the other jobs I did was, you can see this sort of landing strip here. Well, that's where I've cut the green manure away, and I have transplanted the leeks. So you can see there were a lot of very thin leeks. I've dug all of them up. I've dug each of their holes to about 15 centimetres, and I've planted them back in. And now they're in their sort of resting, their bed. I was going to say resting place, but that might mean they're not alive anymore. But in their bed to grow until they're ready to be harvested. Now, there's definitely a bit of a problem with caterpillars, cabbage whites, on the cabbages. To be honest, I'm just going to see how it plays out. Now, I had covered I'm talking cabbages, they're not cabbages, it's the Calabrese, the broccoli. So I had been covering it with fleece, but I'm going to leave it off actually. I'm going to see if the birds can come in and help me, because there would have been no way for the birds to eat the caterpillars, and I was covering it to keep the birds off, but I think I'm sort of messing up the balance of things. So let's see. I'm going to leave the fleece off. I'm going to see if nature can balance itself out. You'll also see I've cut away, so there's quite a lot of green manure growing actually over the Calabrese, so I've cut that away, and I've also watered the Calabrese with some stinging nettle liquid manure just to give it lots of lovely nutrients, and the idea was also to see if it would keep the pests away. Now I thought I might have slugs on the Calabrese, but it appears it is definitely the cabbage white. So yeah, let's see if leaving the fleece off actually helps nature to do its thing and balance itself out. So the other thing I've been up to is harvesting the Swiss chard. Now this is perpetual spinach, so if you cut it just an inch or a couple of inches from the ground, it'll actually encourage it to keep growing. So I did harvest that on a day that was best for leaf plants, because that also helps the vegetable to store for longer. And what I think is absolutely amazing is the height of these lettuces. Now I've never ever seen a lettuce like that. I'm used to what you see in the supermarkets. They're really quite high. I mean, this one here is up to my waist, and it is actually starting to go to seed. So what I've been doing is harvesting those, so cutting those down to the ground, and then taking a few of the leaves off the bottom, and then when I get home, putting it in a bowl, in a glass of water, a bit like trying to put flowers into a vase. And that's been a really nice way to actually keep the lettuce fresh at home for longer. And the last update for this week is the sweet corn, which I am very, very excited to try. Now, the Biodynamic gardening book says when these sort of hairs, again, not the technical term, but when they start to wither, which they definitely are, and turn brown, then the sweet corn should be ready to harvest. Now, I reckon that's pretty close, so I'm definitely looking forward to harvesting those. And at the base of each of the sweet corn are the French, dwarf French beans, which I'm going to try and get in there as well, fight my way through the green manure. So I'll probably be harvesting and trying sweet corn. I've never grown it myself before, so I'm very excited to try that, because I love organic sweet corn. And with these ones, whilst I bought organic transplants, I've done everything else biodynamic, so good chance of it being the tastiest sweet corn I've ever tried. And also with sweet corn, from memory, I think the starch in the sweet corn, as soon as it's picked, starts to turn to sugar, or I might have that the other way around. So sweet corn is one of the vegetables, it's uber important to eat it as quickly as possible after harvesting to get the best of the sugars. Yeah, I think it's the other way around. The sugars turn to starch. But anyway, yeah, so that's good. We're going to be able to harvest it and eat it within 30 minutes, which will be pretty good. So, but all in all, yeah, everything's looking okay this week, and lots more jobs next week, and really getting into starting to harvest a lot more of the tomatoes, which are green at the moment, but starting to turn red. Okay, so that's everything for this week. As usual, I'll put lots more information in the description, in the notes, any relevant links that I think will be helpful, and that's it for another week of my experiment and trying to do my bit with biodynamic gardening at the allotment. Okay, so that's everything for this week. As usual, I'll put lots more information in the description, in the notes, any relevant links that I think will be helpful, and